Today we'll be discussing Season 4, Episode 13, or Season 5, Episode 13 on Hulu, Bend Her. My name is Michelle Burlingame. With me are Tommy Roulette.
How's it going?
And Pete Woodward.
That's me.
Our guest today is Bridget Callahan.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for coming onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
This is, you haven't been in Cleveland very long again. You were here, and then you weren't here for a long time, and now you're back, and it's all just kind of synced up nicely.
Yeah.
And boy, I as I was watching the episode, I'm like, oh shit, she is going to have a lot to say about this one.
I didn't know that you guys were doing this in order because I thought you picked it directly for me. I was like, so Peter just wants to get into a fight with me. That's cool.
No. Like, look, if there's one thing that's come up like over the history of the show, it's like, wow, a lot of this shit is really insensitive. I mean, I just like I don't know the show as well as Tom and our former host, and probably even as well as Michelle at this point, because I just don't have time to commit things to memory anymore. And so
Your head
a lot
is
of
so
these
full of everything.
No, it's just I forget shit. It's early onset dementia. But you know, as this stuff comes up, like I know enough now that I can reference old episodes, and I've had foreshadowing of things happen, but it's like, oh shit. Because this is like they took the wrestling episode when he was the gender bender.
Yeah.
And they just doubled down. Like,
Yeah, they were like,
fuck it,
that
we're
worked
gonna
really
go.
well. Let's lean in.
Yeah,
on that.
let's make it even more fucked up. So I think we got a new Jumbotron this week. It looked like a proto Tom and Jerry.
It was called Naughty But Mice. It was 1947, and it features Sniffles the mouse. Who's he's the mouse with that's always got the runny nose. This one, he actually has a cold in this one as his debut, and he goes out to try to find a cure.
If he's called Sniffles because he has a cold, like what happens when he gets better?
He doesn't get better.
Well, then he should see a doctor.
He's your future. He's perpetually sick.
Oh fuck!
Oh, no.
That's not. Don't joke about that.
I don't know. In the episode, though, he drinks 125% proof liquor.
That's not even possible, is it?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe like if you took how does that work? If you mix multiple liquors, no, it just dilutes itself. Fuck, I'm trying to do math on cold medicine.
Yeah, don't
It's
do
not-
that.
Fuck it.
Also, yeah, actually, when you think about it, the fact that I put this shit in my body all the time, I should know how proofs work, really. But what was the
Booze.
proof again?
It's alcohol, 125% proof.
I feel like that is actually doable if you're just drinking like rubbing alcohol.
Oh, even isopropyl alcohol is like 70 something. Like the stuff that you get first aid isopropyl alcohol is like 72%.
They make 91%.
Yeah, but
They make
that's
100
like
proof.
even
Yeah.
the hardcore stuff. I mean, it's hard
Paramount
to find
vodka
that.
from Berea Road is 100 proof. That I know.
But that's
If you've never had that, that's a
but 100
vodka.
proof doesn't mean 100% alcohol. It means
Right, so
Right,
the
proofs and
proof is-
percents
80
are
proof
different.
is 40%. So this is percent and proof. 125% proof.
Wait,
So
oh,
you're telling
geez.
me a cartoon has got
It
nonsense
also is
in
on.
it?
It's on. Yes. So
Oh god. Oh shit. Again, we were just talking about this beforehand. Like, I'm not drinking this month to try and figure out what my brain chemistry really is at a baseline level. I mean, I know it's fucked up, but I need to know how fucked up it is.
Yeah, so you're sick now.
Yeah, I think that might be it. It's just withdrawal. It's like, fuck, my lifeblood, it's gone. But like trying to do this math, and it's just making me thirsty.
You just moved on from booze to cold medicine.
Yeah.
That's really what happened.
You know, I know I've talked about this before with several people, maybe or maybe not on the show, but like if you take a couple capsules of DayQuil and a nice big cup of black coffee, you will vibrate with the frequency of the universe. It's just the best feeling in the world. And I can't even do it anymore when I have to work because it like really harshes the buzz on it. Like I used to have like a more physical job, and it was great because it just is like throwing books around, and it felt really good. And at that point, I would just swig off the DayQuil bottle. Like dosages, fuck that.
Oh yeah.
If
it's in liquid form, dosages.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, you just drink more coffee to be losing it out. So this was the 3004 Olympic Games at Madison Cube Garden. Is this was this airing in 2004? Is that timeline still good?
No, it's still in 2003. It was in July 2003. This is actually season 5, episode 13, as far as the broadcast goes.
Okay.
But season 4, episode 13.
For the production.
For production.
The thing that confused me, and maybe this
is right. I mean, this is like halfway through more than halfway through the last season.
Yeah. Yeah, right. We're approaching
before they got canceled. Yeah.
I thought the whole nation or Earth was all one nation at this point. That's what was confusing me.
There could be just the Earth Olympics and then the Galaxy Olympics. There could be more than one Olympics.
So it's set up like beauty pageants?
I mean, it could be like this is just the Olympics on Earth.
I thought it was the Olympiad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like...
Because there weren't really...
I mean, it's the Earth Olympics, and there are other planets now that have life forms on them.
But
and
does it
wasn't
subdivide?
like other...
It wasn't like versus other planets. It was all everything was on people
it was all
versus
the nations of Earth.
the Earth.
Like
Right.
the independent nation of Joe.
But I thought Earth was all one nation now. I guess that's where I'm confused because there's like a president of Earth.
Right.
Earthican.
But still, I mean, they're all from different. I mean, there's whole new countries, like whatever. I mean, they're probably
Siberia,
all. Yeah,
let's
but when
see
you're looking at like globally, probably each
of these nations maybe a
nations
loose
have-
federation.
probably
it's like
have a
nation
head.
state, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the president of Earth happens to be also the president of the United States or whatever. You know,
Okay.
like probably the leader of the U.S. as well as Earth.
I think
When dealing
if
with
we're demonstrating
intergalactic
anything
stuff.
at this point, the president of the United States is not going to be the president of Earth anytime soon.
Yeah.
My favorite part about the countries that were in the parade, and just in the events in general, was that you had places like Jamaica and Barbados, but you didn't have like England, and you didn't have a real France.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. So like all the colonial countries are like the leaders now.
I also
in
liked Siberia, but it was like CYBER.
yeah.
And
And
they're all
with
robots.
robots
Cute
with
little robot.
the
Yeah.
fur hats on and stuff.
Sweden.
And we've already
So-
talked way more about this. I'd rather see celebrity ape fights.
Yeah.
That's what got preempted. I'm like, is that... I mean, that could be so many things. That could be like celebrities who raise apes, like fighting apes. We talked about cockfighting a couple weeks ago. And like, what if you had ape fights? You know, but you had like William Shatner's ape fight. Like you raced William Shatner's show pony.
Is that a true thing?
Well, no,
Oh.
sort of. You'll just have to listen and hear the
pony.
story I
He
told.
threw a boot at her.
Really?
He threw his boot over his shoulder, and I happened to be walking next to William Shatner, and he hit me with
like
his
a boot that had been on his body?
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, like he had his laces tied up, and he was like, "Well, time to keep on walking," and just like threw him over his shoulder like a
And then
like a
you kept
hobo
it.
with his
You
bindle.
sold it on eBay for a
Well,
really
I
large
mean,
amount
he
of
still
money.
held on to them. He just hit
Oh.
me in the chest with his boots as he was throwing them.
I love
You know,
that story.
Shatner.
But what if you had William Shatner's ape and then they bred the apes to fight each other? Or it could be like celebrity apes like Bubbles the chimp from Michael Jackson fame and Was it-
Coco and
Coco the gorilla,
Exciting.
Clyde from Every Which Way But
or
Loose.
Hammurabi or whatever.
Harambe.
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 I think
dead
it's so
now.
nice
Oh,
that
no.
you actually forgot that name. That
Hammurabi.
like really speaks to a sense of relaxation about the internet that I'm really jealous of.
It's pronounced Kofifi.
I wish I could forget memes. I wish that I had the ability to let that go.
That's 60% of my rapidly diminishing mental capacity. is
Dude,
just
I
how
thought
up with
about
that.
today how I should just make a business where I print out really popular memes and put them as like canvases to sell in people's houses. That eat trash and die raccoon one that everyone posts. I was like, I
love
want
that
a
one.
print of that, and I bet somebody else would want a print of that. I should make
You
that.
could do that now. You just subcontract it and then mark it up. That's all that stuff is made like to order too. So take this out, Tom. We got a business idea to say.
No, we'd get sued to oblivion. Yeah, okay.
Sued schmood. There's no money in
Peter
this.
and I need a lawyer if you're listening.
The Jamaican Olympic team was detained at the airport because of their
other interests.
Yes.
Because weed is still illegal in 3004. What?
Jeff Sessions is working on it, so don't worry about that. It's I love that because the whole thing with Hermes, from the beginning, it was always the misdirect, and they've just like really leaned into the whole like pothead thing now. But when they start, was it La Barbara that was talking to him saying, "Have they seen your physique since the old days?"
One toke over the line.
That was Fry, I think, said that.
Yeah. So Professor creates the flabodynamic spandex suit, which sucks all of that fat in. But like, where does it go?
I was
like,
thinking about that. I was like, would I want one of those?
yeah,
right?
where would I buy that? Like, where would it go?
It's
in
like
your,
a Robo Spanx.
yeah, but like,
Yeah, but
It-
do you push it all up in your boobs? Do you push it like I don't know where?
It goes to your center of gravity. That's where it goes in it, so he can closer to his knees, so
But
he
I feel
can go
like-
back.
see. Would it be so much compression that you would literally just like pulverize your organs though?
The human body
Like-
can take a lot of compression.
It can. I'm gonna blow your minds here and say that Professor fucked up his design, because what he should have done is done an inside-out Bender's chest cavity, and then you put the suit on, and all of your extra mass goes
you know
out
what he
into
probably
a
has?
TARDIS-y dimension.
Maybe that's how it works. Maybe that's the suit is got a little bit of that magical cavity.
Uh-huh.
Like maybe it is the magical cavity because Professor did work for Mom.
He invented
so
Bender.
he technically he's
so
got
you
that knowledge.
stretch all that on, and then it's basically like it's going into whatever the Phantom Zone is inside Bender's cavity. But instead of having the box that you open up and put the things in, you step into the box.
So what's the thing that forces him to when?
Well, the
Hermes is
professor
running the
clearly the
race?
professor didn't do that, and he fucked up his design. I'm improving on it.
Oh, okay.
I've got a whole thing about Bender's chest cavity. I've made peace with it, but now that I have made peace with it, it's like they're not taking advantage of this. The world building is kind of fucked up.
That's what fan fiction is for.
I don't have time for fan fiction.
Is limbo
anymore.
an Olympic sport yet?
Not yet.
No. Is this the first time we've seen Barbados Slim? Because I
think
feel like
so.
he's been mentioned before, or
It's
maybe
the
I just
game.
like that's the part since we're watching these in
Yeah, it's the
production
debut of
order. But since I think we've had an episode. He was in the Xmas episode, wasn't he? I feel like he's been in an episode before and just with very little ceremony. But this is the one where we actually meet. I'm probably wrong, but I just feel like we've had Barbados Slim in an episode before.
I just say the name
can't
is
remember.
in the stupid game that I can't stop playing. I'm just animosity towards Worlds of Tomorrow.
You know
I
what?
haven't
He's
played it
in this,
a while.
and then he's not in it until like the movie, like Bender's Big Score, and then later episodes.
Really?
Yeah,
But him and La Barbara have a thing on the side, or did in the past.
They were
They're
married.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So you probably just saw him in another episode before.
Probably.
There was one other line. It was actually back when they were talking about Hermes' physique, where he said he described it to them using a series of awful euphemisms. And that's basically what I do too. Like that was so perfect. It's just like a tall Danny DeVito or an unshaved Bigfoot. That's what we're looking at. And then it rolled right into Bender and Zoidberg sitting in silence, just going, "Shut up, Zoidberg," which I love it. He's just so ready
Poor
for abuse.
Zoidberg.
He got a little out of hand in this one, I think, didn't he? Or am I misremembering?
No.
What?
Zoidberg
Getting
had
out of
that
hand?
great. Well, I'm jumping ahead in the episode, but
Yeah, he's.
he has a really great moment in this episode.
He has a lot of great moments.
I know, but like in particular, I think
we're getting into
Yeah,
the,
we're
we're
getting
getting
too
into the
ahead.
good part. It's just
Yeah, I know.
I'm so excited. Like it's just when things are gonna light on fire. What other events do you think they would have had in here? I mean, they get into the robot stuff with the bending the unbendable girders, which seems kind of dumb.
I
honestly.
mean, if you can bend an unbendable girder, you're definitely Olympic material.
so. Actually, like this is I only know this because I was doing a little homework on this episode.
Okay.
Don't make it seem like I'm I'm just pulling this out. But the unbendable girders from another previous episode.
Yeah.
So when I was watching this, I realized that the reason they put that in there is because it is a thing that is the specific trigger to Bender of his masculinity, right? Where he's like, I could do that because he had faced the unbendable girder in another episode, and then this guy does too, and does like a huge sculpture of it, and he's like, so he crushes his masculinity before he then decides to switch.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Was that the same episode with
So deep.
Oh shoot.
It's a factory.
That was the with the fembot.
Yeah.
Annaline.
What was her? Yeah.
That's
Angeline.
Okay. That's
Angeline, yeah.
right.
that's right.
So
Where he was a scab.
yeah, I just I'm trying to think of like there could be so many preposterous events in this Olympics that they just teased us. It's like limbo and then the girder stuff. And I just wish they would have spent more time on that or just done celebrity ape fights.
So what events have you thought of, Peter?
I haven't thought of any. I mean, I'm not doing this as like, here is a setup for a bit. It's not really the like what I'm getting at. It seems like they could have really, they've had so many deep wells of jokes on things like that, and they just sort of passed over it. It's sort of a dense episode, so maybe that's why. But the after Bender feels defeated and Zoidberg just gives him a welcome to my life.
And then he starts crying. Yeah. Poor Zoidberg.
Oh.
So then Bender looks over to the fembots and their bending competition. It's some bullshit because the one fembot's got like a hanger, like a wire hanger, and that's like the female Olympic event for bending is like a wire hanger.
Which is the real preposterous part is that they're robots, right? So there's no reason to build a female robot less strong than a male robot.
Right.
But then you
They just don't
automatically
have
skip over that
testosterone oil.
You don't have to discuss whether or not actual human being females are like weaker than guys or not, because you're like, let's put it in this robot.
And
Frame it in the robots, and we can do whatever we want.
In the context of the Olympics, that's always been the thing where like the Soviet bloc would dope their female athletes so that they all looked like men anyway. Like they were clearly being hormone treated to be larger, faster, stronger now. Like you'd think that if these were Olympic class fembots that they'd just come out looking like the Crushinator or something, where it's just a big, monstrous beast.
Yeah, why wouldn't you build the perfect Olympic robot for that event?
We're deconstructing this shit pretty good.
Yeah, there is no reason for them to design male, female, or child robots.
No, like Tinny Tim.
Yeah,
unless the whole point is to make you feel like sympathy for him, but he just gets shit on.
Well, there is another episode coming up where it does matter.
It doesn't even. That shouldn't even be canon. That episode.
Oh, come on.
Oh, good. That's gonna be a good one.
So this is actually a weird thought that I had while I was watching this, right? Which is that one thing about Futurama is that it's created this nightmare world where all the robots are extremes of human personalities. Right? Like they're not robots. They have no robot characteristics. They're the most emotional creatures in the show, right? So I just feel like, God, what did you just say that made me think of that? I forget now.
Me?
Yeah, you just said something. God, there's no point to building female or children, right? But you have to because you have to build these like stereotypes of human behavior. Never mind. Anyway.
What? Yeah. No. Okay. Does that go further?
No, it doesn't. I just a weird stone thought.
But that's actually. I don't think that's ever been phrased that way because one of the things that keeps coming up is sort of like Bender will go on these emotional tears where he's like, I don't have a legacy, and then that turns into this whole.
Bender's the most emotional character in the entire show,
except for maybe Roberto.
No, he's constantly angry. He's constantly hurt. He's always like, there's some emotional arc that he's going through that is more extreme. Like the other characters have emotion, but Bender's like the extreme because he's allowed to be extreme because he's a robot.
Well, didn't the professor dial up his emotion chip, or did he turn it down?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
He turned it up for an episode and then he turned it down. You're talking.
Yeah, I think, and then also there was the free will.
Did we do that one?
Did we do that one yet?
I don't know.
Anyway, I thought about this a lot because Bender, like, he's so angry and so, like, they dial up his masculinity in this episode to contrast it to when he's being feminine, right?
Yeah.
But he's so much happier when he's feminine.
Well, because it gives him all these new angles to like grift. I think like he that's really sort of like.
It's not just the grift though. Like I really feel like he actually gets more of an outlet for some of his other emotions that he doesn't have in his other.
Because he gets more attention, maybe. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead a little bit. So
it's a very deep well.
Because before Bender goes through the whole sex change,
he just dresses up.
He
like
just
a
dresses
girl.
up. Yeah, he wears a dress and a
Fembot.
little headscarf.
Ooh. One thing I noticed also, and then I'll stop and we'll go on.
We got time.
So he makes that decision right after. So Hermes actually tries to change his body to not cheat, but effectively like give himself an advantage right before Bender. It was such a good story setup. Like I watched it and I was like, what a good foreshadowing. Because he loses and then Bender sees that he did that and was like, oh, I can do that too on a deeper level. It was such a good like 1-2 punch on. This is how he comes up with his plot.
But the fact that Barbados Slim says hi to Hermes by going, Hermes Conrad, is that you inside that dumpy little fat man?
I know. Poor Hermes.
Well, that made me think like, did Hermes used to not be a dumpy little fat man?
No,
Like
apparently.
when
he was fat when he was racing before too. He said that he beat him while he was fat then too.
We see well, getting into another later episode, we see a young Hermes later on, and I don't think he was not.
We did
maybe
see a young
less
Hermes
fat.
competing in the Olympics before when the one kid tried to.
Yeah, but sometimes when they do flashbacks like that, they don't. They take the current state.
Yeah.
And put. You never know. It's all like a fever dream anyway. I mean, we've tried to apply logic to this show over and over, mostly me and mostly to failure, but. There's clearly that rivalry, but if LaBarbera chose Hermes over Barbados Slim at some point, you think he'd be secure?
Right, because that's how people are. They get real
Yeah.
secure when they're in long-term
Yeah, that
relationships.
totally works out.
Later on, every time something happens with Hermes, LaBarbera's like with Barbados Slim, like immediately.
She runs to him
constantly
to
running
commiserate.
back to Barbados Slim. Yeah, that's a recurring theme.
Oh God, that's no good. I guess this is where it turns into Bender dressing up then, right?
Yeah.
But so this came up before in the Gender Bender episode where he was the wrestler or the boxer, which Raging Bender I think was the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that made me think of is Bosom Buddies. Like that was a primetime television show for multiple seasons.
I had to place it for a moment. I was like, what are you talking about?
Starring Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was
Who else was it?
Peter Scolari.
Yeah.
Wendy Jo Sperber.
How do you know all this stuff?
These are the things I remember. What did I eat for dinner 2 hours ago? Couldn't tell you.
Peter Scolari. I'm just going to guess Peter Scolari whenever I have a question come up for the next week.
Right. Who played Lena Dunham's dad on Girls?
Peter Scolari.
Right.
Is that
There
true?
you go.
Jesus.
So
I've never watched Girls.
I don't.
Nope.
watch it, but-
It's,
Thank you.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, he comes out on the show. It's a whole thing. Anyway, but that was so. This framed this whole thing where like you've got Some Like It Hot. You've got this recurring theme where it's just like, this is the craziest thing ever for a man to be presenting as a woman. It's so wild and strange. And like, to varying things to the point where like I'm actually reading Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology right now. And one of the stories I just read yesterday was about Thor pretending to be a woman to steal his hammer back from a troll. Like that's how far back this trope goes of like this thing. But like this seems so extreme on top of that because it's not just like I'm going to put on a dress and a wig and some lipstick. This is like going through the whole sex change
it's
like
funny.
willy-nilly.
Because a man in ladies' clothes.
But it's
How absurd.
Yeah, but it's
Now
Is
we have a
No.
Caitlyn Jenner
No, I mean,
right
not-
now,
I mean,
and
back-
we didn't when this episode came out.
I mean, back in the I'm picturing like thinking of like Bugs Bunny dressing up as a woman,
Yeah, but this is 20 some years ago ish.
Wait, this you're talking about
episode,
Futurama.
yeah.
Well, you were bringing up other things that were 30,
know.
40 years ago.
Or more, but like RuPaul was a worldwide phenom at this point.
But she wasn't.
When did Caitlyn Jenner happen? When
It was like 2015.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No. It was-
later.
Yeah.
No, not later.
No, it was
before
a
that.
little.
Yeah,
earlier.
the opposite of
Okay.
later. Earlier.
I think that special that came out was 2015 when Bruce Jenner had that, was it 2020?
you looking
When
up?
he came out and said, I want to live as a woman now, I'm changing.
Yeah, to April 2015.
All right.
Oh my God.
I'm just not going to
I
disagree
know
with
it
Michelle
because
for the
I
rest
know
of
where
the
I
time.
was when I heard about it, and I remember
do you
sitting
do?
in a bar at a specific event and seeing it on the television.
Wow.
Wait, but this is burned into your memory. What was this specific event?
It doesn't matter. I was watching a band play.
Do you feel like we need to dig into this?
You know what's funny is I don't remember when that like where I was or when that happened, but I remember where I was when I found out that Laura Jane Grace when she became Laura Jane Grace. What was this?
Tom Gabel
Yeah.
became Laura Jane Grace.
From Against Me.
Oh, okay.
It's just it seems like they play this for just laughs, but even the jokes aren't all that funny. It didn't.
All in all, I really don't like this episode.
No, and it's not like looking back at it in some sort of pseudo woke position. It's just like, there's some of it where he's like, no, you need to wear more lipstick because guys like women trampy looking. Like, that kind of stuff was a little
They
silly.
play him off as the super. So I decided I did like this episode. I did not like it the first time I watched it, and I was like, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do here. What I'm gonna say about this. And then the second time I watched it, I got a little fucked up, and then I watched it. And that was right. Which is basically how I addressed the entire Gossip Girl catalog too, where I was like, I'm gonna watch this show, and I'm just gonna be really fucked up every time I do it. And I had
then
this
you can
whole
enjoy it.
theory about Gossip Girl being like sensory depth tanks and like a human battery farm that I'll tell you about sometime. But I got really in on the emotions, the emotional profiles of Bender as like him versus Colette, because I really think that they did this strange, dark thing where Bender actually, like, becoming Colette gave him all these things he's constantly getting angry and hurt and searching for as a character otherwise, and he got those. And you're right, he does try to grift it. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
But like he cons himself. That's the real trope.
Yeah.
He cons himself into being in love, and he cons himself into being like, oh my God, you like me, and that sort of thing.
So
but
you
at the same
think the
time, it's playing
adoration really like that he gets the hole inside his magical chest cavity is filled by compressing and
by calculon,
reshaping it.
yeah.
Huh.
Well, but then also he's just like the terrible anti-feminist the whole time. And I really love watching Amy and Leela in this because they constantly have some really good lines about like when Amy says like,
Spluh.
you're embarrassing us in front of the other genders. I love that. That's a great line. So such a good line.
And that's maybe more prescient than like
yeah, because it's like
Anything
all
else
the
in
other
the episode.
genders,
Right.
and then the classic Leela line, which is do you promise to get out of my gender, right? Yeah. And they just like the way they react to it is good to watch. So I ended up really liking the emotional aspect of it, but it's not from a funny point, I guess. Like it wasn't. It's not really.
I think they make some more on point commentary on gender identity in a different episode. That's did we? I don't think we did that one yet. I think that's another later one.
Which episode are you
The one where they
thinking of?
all swapped.
Oh,
genders.
yeah. No, we haven't got to that
Yeah.
yet. Yeah.
So that was like, did you ever watch Misfits?
No.
It was really good. It's sort of a weird, filthy superhero show that was on Hulu a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm
it's
familiar
sort
Oh,
of-
I
with it.
remember that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there was one, basically there's these 4 juvenile delinquents that get superpowers through some magical thing. But at one point during the series, there's like a really macho guy who, when their powers all get swapped around, becomes like a really beautiful girl, and then like for the rest of the season is trying to deal with like that whole shift. Like he can't do it. Like I think they played that really well. Some of this stuff, I mean, it's just some of the things when they do gags like this, they just seem so hack. And that's kind of what puts me off, is where it's like, they make really smart, funny jokes on this show. There's even this is a dumb thing that Fry says. I can't watch this because it's creepy and wrong and sick. But however, I will watch it out of curiosity, which is like, that's our entire culture. Mm-hmm. But then there's stuff where it's just like, I don't know. I can't get into the whole Bender thing because it just seems so obvious. I don't know. We'll get through it. I got notes and notes and notes, but it just seems heavy-handed to me. I know it's a cartoon; they're not not known for nuance, but like it just.
Where are we at with the recap? Where do we leave off?
Well,
do we just do the?
I think okay. So I have the line where Professor goes removing item, and they cut the antenna off the top, that's been equated with Bender's like phallus
masculinity,
way earlier than this. But my note right after that is like, wow, this is really kind of problematic. Like this is where things just start getting weird for me.
Like when he's like delicately changed the body type, like or they can just smacking him.
Like there was like right after that, Lee was like, I don't know which I'm more enraged or disgusted. Yeah, she really got bent out of shape because it's. I mean, and maybe the problem is the whole point is that like Leela and Amy are like the voices of reason, going like, this is a valid thing, but to do it for such like a
selfish reason,
self,
or I mean, not even
the crew gets on him for being a gold digger. Like they all are like, what are you doing?
I mean, was there ever? They don't ever do a reveal where Calculon realizes that he is Bender.
No, but the way that they handle the end, I love
a great ending.
Yeah. Before that, though, when they're falling in love, my favorite line that I totally just noticed was when Colette's like, they're talking about the life they're going to have together, and he's talking about the house and everything, and she's like, donkeys, and he's like, all you can eat, and I was like, oh my god, all you can eat ass is what he was saying. Right? I love it.
What's donkey taste like? Anyone?
That's not the point. The point is that all you can eat ass joke. It was so good.
Yeah. I didn't catch that. I was just thinking about like donkey meat.
They do eat donkeys in South America, I believe.
I'm sure they eat everything.
They eat donkeys everywhere. Yeah. I don't know. They probably taste like deer, right? They're same size.
About that. Maybe they're a little gamier.
They eat horses in France, so.
And snails. Snails is delicious.
Probably tastes like horse. I'm guessing it would be a similar.
It's all about 2 clicks off of human flesh. I don't know why we get all weird about it. It's red meat.
You don't know why we get weird about eating human flesh?
No, I mean like making the distinctions beyond that. I know why we should be weird about eating human flesh, but I
get weird about animals
because you get madman disease if you eat human flesh. Madman disease.
Is that where you you start working for an advertising firm, marketing firm?
I didn't even
take over someone else's.
I didn't even think of it that way.
You get that weird gum thing. Do you know that when you're a cannibal, your gums like recede and get really like.
I know. There's a lot of health problems.
Really?
I learned that in class when we were talking about the road.
Physically and mentally.
Like, watch for this shit.
Why does that happen?
It's something, I don't know. It's some reaction your body has. Like you're allergic sort of to your own proteins or something.
Your gums get revolted by your own. Oh, I got to research that.
I was just thinking, note to self.
You said there's like mental stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Google side effects of cannibalism.
You can go crazy from eating human flesh because you're not supposed to. You're not
not supposed to.
No natural thing is supposed to eat its own.
What about like gerbils and hamsters? They eat their own babies.
They do, and they don't suffer or die because my gerbils ate a lot of their babies.
Yeah, rats.
But maybe their brain is too small to have any repercussions. There's just not enough room.
Look, I'm not judging. I'm just saying your hypothesis does not hold water.
Maybe it's different.
I just made it up. I'm not a.
That's what you do in
cannibal
philosophy.
doctor.
It's a growing industry, you know.
Isn't that that sounds like a Showtime show?
Cannibal doctor. to be honest, my favorite part of this entire episode is just when Colette gets invited onto Late Night with Humorbot 5.0. And Calculan's out there. He's like, you want to set this clip up? He goes, no, I think it sets itself up. And it's just him. And there's like some like pirate on the barbecue.
And he screams no. And then when they go back to Calculon, he says, the line was supposed to be yes, but I put a twist on it. Like literally no setup needed for that.
Did you notice that Humorbot 5.0 looked like Paul Schaefer?
No. I didn't really notice that.
Like that was another thing where I don't know if, I mean, it had to have been done on purpose, but just like the facial features of Humorbot 5.0, like, oh, that's Paul.
Yeah.
Like clearly, but
I did like that. Was it anecdote accepted? Witty remark not found.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved how the laughter just stopped on cue in that scene, right? Like they were laughing and then boom. It was perfect.
It's kind of like this show when it grinds to a halt. What's his line? This may be presumptuous. That's my favorite kind of this. Like that's the style. Those are the kind of jokes I like, not the just hacky. You
like the wordplay jokes.
I know,
but this was a body humor episode.
It was very, very much more.
This was written by someone that is not a fan of sci-fi either.
Really?
Like the story, yeah.
Who wrote it?
Michael Rowe.
The guy that does dirty jobs?
How do you know everyone's name?
That's a homonym. I mean, it doesn't. It's not the same guy, clearly.
Clearly not.
No, I know, but I don't know how you knew that dirty jobs thing is my point.
I do Mike Rao. I never would have known the name of the guy who wrote this episode, but Mike Rao is it? Yeah,
I said Rowe, but
yeah, I think Mike Rao is how
that
the
how you're
dirty
supposed to
jobs.
say it?
I think.
I have said it wrong my entire life.
I don't know.
He used to be an opera singer before he
No,
did that.
really?
Yeah.
Was he a Canadian opera singer?
I don't know. Is he from Canada?
No, he just seems like he would be like a Canadian superstar.
Like a Canadian football player where he can't hack it in the U.S., so he goes up north to be, almost as good. Although everything's better up there. We fucked it all up.
I heard about a podcast today, no offense to this podcast, but it's called The Secret Life of Canada.
Yeah.
Do you listen to it?
No.
You just sound so enthusiastic.
I want to know more. Tell me more.
I'm super excited. I don't know. I'm good. I have it on my queue to
Is it good stuff
morning.
or bad stuff?
It's supposed to be like dark stories true stories that happen in Canada.
Oh, like how they are
like cannibal doctors and shit.
Like egregiously awful to First Nations people. And
yeah, shit like that. And also all those women who've been like raped and brutally murdered in the dam projects. Yeah.
I'll have to ask my one friend who lives in Canada if she's ever listened to it.
Or, hey, we've got Canadian listeners. Tell us about your horrible country's murders.
Text us about your Canada
Tell me about the feet. Did anyone ever resolve the feet thing that was happening?
No.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When the feet were just washing up?
Oh, I think that I listened to a different podcast where they talk about that, the mystery of the people's feet with tennis shoes on them.
Yeah, there were like 12 of them.
Yeah, I think they determined that it's just when people commit suicide by jumping off a bridge into water, the body sinks, and then the buoyancy of the shoes like separates the foot.
Don't wear tennis shoes when you commit suicide.
Flip-flops, brah.
I could be wrong. I could be misremembering, but
that seems plausible. Mystery solved.
Or a killer moose.
Because they never found matching feet. So like what happened to the other feet?
Well, they got eaten by horrible sea monsters. There's sharks.
it's the mob.
Yeah.
It's mooses.
But
I feel like they just came up with a cover-up story. That sounds like a cover-up story.
The mob does it backwards, though. They put the feet in the heavy thing. So then you'd expect everybody to pop up to the top wearing just their trousers and no feet. But isn't cement shoes apocryphal too? I thought that was just sort of an urban legend that.
I mean, it weighs the body down.
But
I'm sure it's happened
assume-
before. I'm sure somebody actually has done that before.
Oh yeah.
You think?
Probably. The mob probably have done it a few times.
Why couldn't they have done it on Jackass?
It feels way, way, way too like much work. Like you can just tie some shit to somebody's feet, you know?
Yeah, they get their goons to do it.
But then you got to wait until it sets to throw them in the water. That's
Well, if they're dead, but yeah, I guess you got to get rid of a body. You got to get rid of the body.
you wouldn't like take the time to hold it upright in a vat of concrete and wait for the concrete to dry for hours until you can put it in the water.
Then you gotta move somebody with fucking concrete feet.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like work.
It does sound like a lot of work. It totally.
I think the point is that the person is still alive when you put them in the cement.
But they're not gonna walk with cement feet.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna walk. They're gonna be on
like some sort of weird person with gigantitis.
I don't know.
So is the point that you like let the concrete dry around because you're going to kill him anyway, and then you try to torture him to talk? Because I feel like you would know that you were going to die anyway, so why would you talk?
I mean, you could always get out of the concrete. I don't know. I still think the best way to dispose of a body would be dissolving it in acid or the Fargo method of just
wood chipper.
That's the best scene ever.
You know what? What happens if your wood chipper, like, what if you bought your wood chipper at Harbor Freight? And it fucks up halfway through. And you get the 2-year warranty, so you can just take it back and exchange it, no questions asked. But if you got half a body stuck in your Harbor Freight wood chipper, like, it's going to be a problem.
You know, you probably have some extra. You need to make sure you have extra money. Go buy a new one, so you can try to finish it, pull the body out, then you can clean it up and send it back and exchange it or get cash back.
I bet Cannibal Doctor would know how to do all of this shit. Yeah. He'd just eat the body, and then you just have to get rid of the bones. Fuck. We're coming up with so much good intellectual property on just this one episode. We're gonna be rich as shit. Have any of you gone on a first date nude? And is it in fact trampy to do that?
I've gone on first dates and things I shouldn't have been wearing. That's for sure. Like I went on a first date in a schoolgirl skirt one time. That was not appropriate.
It's very forward.
Very young. Yeah. I was not. And the guy was nice enough to not say anything about it. We kept dating, but like later on he was like, yeah, that was weird that you did that. So
I mean, my wife's favorite story is that she didn't like the pants I wore on our first date.
Yeah.
Because they were too big. And the problem was I had lost a ton of weight and I hadn't bought new pants. So I just had them cinched up. They weren't like Jinkos or something. Like they were just
That's exactly what I was picturing.
Yeah, no, I didn't. It weren't like I had a couple of Vern Troyer-sized dwarves running around inside the legs. They were like my waist was probably like a 38 and they're probably like a 42. Waistline, and just cinched up with a belt because fuck it, I'm thrifty.
And she was like, "This guy needs to be taken care of."
Shirt tucked into his underpants.
That's what people were doing back then. And of course that was the reason that she was gonna break up with me. And the fact that she did break up with me, she didn't like my pants. Was just, it's a whole long story. I showed her by accidentally getting her pregnant. So the anyway. There's they always go to Elzar's. And
it's the fanciest place in town.
Right, but it seems like the quality at Elzar's varies wildly because a couple weeks ago there was like roaches and rats and vermin, and now it's all fancy again when they go. So, I mean, what do you think is going? Does he have like staffing problems?
Maybe Elzar just owns multiple restaurants, and it's just Elzar's just always at the one that they go to. But doesn't Elzar know Bender? Like, wouldn't you think he would recognize Bender as Coilette?
So Bender and Coilette do not look the same. I don't think they.
I think he could get away.
I mean, Coilette is famous, so
right.
I don't.
So why would you think that was
True.
Bender?
That's true.
The only people that know are the people that saw him go through the transition.
With the testosterone oil and having his item removed.
Yes, and Fem's oil.
The Fembot lubricants.
Ultimately bring him happiness by showing him what love is. I just have to throw that out there.
The reason he gave for going on the date is just for once he'd like to eat dinner with a celebrity that's not bound and gagged. But then this, so I have a note in here. Is like, why is Leela so against this? Is like, I'm wondering if like Leela's transphobic or if she's just against Bender doing this like
is she a TERF?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that the whole point is that Leela and Amy are like, you are just you are using the worst stereotype of women to get ahead, and then they're so frustrated that it works.
like a Tommy Lauren and Coulter type sort of thing, where it's just you're just gonna sell out and we're gonna bite it hard.
Right, because at no point Bender's never like, I feel like I'm a woman, right?
Right.
Bender is like, hey, people will give me these things if I'm a woman.
Well, there seems to be a duality about it. I mean, you brought that up too, where he has the emotionality that's sort of overwhelming at certain points. Where but yeah, I think that's that he's riding that line between the grift and the.
Well, the professor
experience.
said the longer he stays like that, the more and more he's gonna. It's going to seep into his processing unit.
Now, the one thing that they don't do is I don't feel like they really counterpoint the professor's sexism enough, right? Like he's got so many very like violent kind of not funny lines in there where he's just like, you're becoming the worst of this or whatever.
It's another running theme of Professor being super sexist.
Right, but then they had
especially
all these
against Leela.
Like
I think he purposely picks on Leela.
Yeah. She's becoming a slave to her emotions, just like all women, particularly you, Leela.
Yeah. But like, I think they don't give Leela and Amy enough strong lines to counteract those in this kind of episode.
But the professor's just generally hateful of everybody.
But in this particular episode, don't you think you'd want to push it a little stronger?
I don't know. I mean, he's just, he is a misanthrope of the highest caliber. So really, he's doing the surgery or the transformation just because, like, it's basically he's a scientist who goes, we can, so we will, not because we should.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, script wise, I feel like if you wanted the episode to be less problematic, you had some opportunities as a writer
where
to counterpoint that without giving away, like, his personality should stay the same. It's the rest of the characters that should have been given a little bit more.
They can actually only give the female characters so many lines. And now, since Bender was technically a female in the episode, they couldn't really...
I mean, fair point. I know there's a whole rule book for writers' rooms, so...
There's actually this is a whole continuity thing that really threw me off, actually. Bender was eating food.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, which he doesn't eat food ever.
No, and Calculon says something about can't sleep, though he never does.
Yeah,
implying that robots don't sleep, but Bender sleeps all the time. So
yeah, and but he's like chowing down on actual organic, like.
Right, because that's the trope, right? The woman on the date eating all the food is like the good girl who like gets what guys are like. That's the stereotype where she's on the date. She's like, you really understand me, because she's like gnawing on chicken bones and stuff. Yeah. And she burps and and he's like, oh, it's just playing into that.
That was Jenny McCarthy's whole shtick for like 1990 through 97 exclusive. Like that was her thing.
The girl who doesn't get along with other girls.
Yeah. Yes, that's when she was your hero, right, Michelle?
Yep. With the booger jokes and the fart jokes. Now she's just a weird
anti-vax Botox Skeletor.
God,
now she's the person that they're going to trot out if Oprah runs for president.
Oh, no.
We're going to see a lot more of her.
She looked so bad on New Year's Eve. Last year, I think she looked worse, but she still looks like a fucking skeleton. Like, she just looks like horrendous.
That whole thing of her and Donnie Duddits making out was just mortifying.
What are you guys talking about?
New Year's Eve.
But so is it...
We went to a party at our house.
Yeah.
On New Year's Eve.
Is it still Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, or is it Ryan Seacrest?
No, it's still Dick Clark.
It's Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, or New Year's Rockin'.
New Year's Rockin'.
New Year's Rockin'. It's whichever one's more awkward. Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest.
And Jenny McCarthy.
Jenny McCarthy is the on the street, like, personality.
Really?
But she's there with her beau, Donnie Wahlberg. And, like, as the ball dropped, they, like, lick tongues.
I'm so out of touch with fucking regular network world. I had no idea Jenny McCarthy was still on television at all.
That's the only time she is.
Why? Why did they just, like, give her a contract 10 years ago? And
I think so.
Probably.
Man.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got dirt on Seacrest.
I don't. What kind of dirt could you have on him?
I don't know.
I mean, stretch your imagination. What could they possibly have?
We don't know because Jenny McCarthy still has a job on New Year's Eve. We'll find out if she ever doesn't.
Yeah, we'll find out in 2019 when that contract is about to expire. I was very drunk, and it was disturbing as shit to watch.
I can't believe y'all watched it.
It's literally like that's the only time I've ever turned my television on with a broadcast antenna is for like New Year's Eve for that 10-minute span, and I think Kelly Clarkson was on right after it. As we were on our Facebook message like, "Go Kelly!" Woo! She was powerful as shit, but like. No, it just Jenny McCarthy and Donnie Wahlberg just like,
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
You guys should have come to my New Year's party.
Well, you need to have daycare.
I put you on the list.
I know we wanted to, but
did you see that the spell worked? So we burned an effigy of Trump Tower in the bonfire. This is what we planned. The whole plan was that people were going to write down things they wanted to burn from 2017 and put it in wood, and that worked. And then Tara built this like 3-story tall cardboard Trump Tower that she spray painted gold and everything. And we put it on fire at midnight. And none of us thought about the fact that it was covered in spray paint. So, like, real loud, right? And everyone had sparklers, and there were fireworks off the roof, and, like, several people got, like, holes in their coats, right?
Oh, God.
But then, seriously, that was a week ago Sunday. And Monday morning, we wake up to the story of Trump Tower being on fire. And Tara was like, oh, my God, what are we going to do next?
Like, now what do we burn?
Takes a week. Let's make sure we know it takes a week to kick in.
Look, I think smaller and oranger.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why we did. I think we're like, that's going to take too long to build. Last year I did go to a party where someone built a Trump piñata of his head, and they made the head like huge, like the size of this table.
Was it the hugest?
It was the hugest.
So huge you couldn't even believe it.
But it took him like 2 weeks, and it was like very impressive, and I didn't want to hit it with anything because it was like a piece of art.
And it was empty, right?
No. It was filled with condoms. I think that was just what he had on him.
Who did this? Who's responsible for this wonderful stagecraft?
Nathan Woodward from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You were out of state back then.
Yeah.
Okay. It's got a good
spent
name, though.
all of the election year in North Carolina.
Oh.
This is one of the reasons I moved. So I was like, I can't do that again.
No, there's some geographic things going on with that the next time. We're by a lake. There's a lot of fresh water. It's raw.
Raw water. Let's
just drink it. There's a treatment plant that lets out about a mile down the road. We'll have dysentery and be thin as hell. It'll be really good. So he gives
Who's he?
Calculon gives Ben. Oh, no, I'm getting lost in my notes. Have I mentioned I have the world's biggest and most elegant yacht?
Yes. And then Calculon's talent.
How do you guys feel about yachts?
Oh, I have so many feelings. I came from Yacht World. Wilmington, North Carolina is super rich yacht world.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's like mega rich. Clint Eastwood's son, Al Gore, like fucking everyone's got a house on Figure 8 and they all have giant yachts.
What do they do on them?
They get 20-year-old college girls to come do a lot of cocaine on them.
That's sounds really shrill, first of all.
No, but I am all for that as someone who was a 20-year-old girl at some point. Like, I went to you just party all the time. That's what you do.
Boat ownership just seems like, didn't you have a boat, Tom?
No.
Wasn't there a boat involved in your father's estate, or am I misremembering something?
You're misremembering everything.
Okay, because he was in Florida. I
There's no boat.
Okay.
The boat that I have to go out on eventually to spread his ashes in the ocean, but that's about it.
Well, where else would a boat be?
In
besides
water?
the ocean. Yeah.
I'm sorry. A lake?
In
a
river?
Water.
I don't understand the allure of boats, and I guess as the boats become bigger and bigger,
oh yeah,
where they become like these just floating shopping mall platforms, like then what's the damn point in the first place?
Well, so one of the points is that when you go out on the ocean, the bigger the boat, the better, just because it is fucking scary as shit on the ocean. But yeah, I agree with you. I like smaller boats better. I guess the idea is that you can cruise around the world and you don't have to get off the boat, right?
But
because you can carry more gas and more supplies. You can like go across the Atlantic and hang out in the Mediterranean. And
I guess.
I don't think I've ever been on a boat other than like a ferry. I've ferried before, but I've never been on a boat.
Well, Michelle, you've never eaten a McDonald's hamburger either. So like not
true?
being on a boat is
You're
like
such a weird and interesting person.
which is more surprising? Like never been on a boat or never had a McDonald's hamburger.
Oh,
Like
definitely
I find
the hamburger one,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like that's so far down.
Someday I'll get one just for you guys.
I don't want to be the one that's responsible for it. Like I don't want to break that streak. I just
Do you eat other fast food?
Yeah.
Okay, so just literally just not
Just
McDonald's.
I didn't like hamburgers when I was a kid, and I ate the chicken nuggets at McDonald's instead of the hamburgers, and then I have just never had anything but the chicken nuggets at McDonald's.
So do you still
ever
go to
since then.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
And get chicken nugget? You just
Yeah.
never order that. Interesting.
right?
I mean, I guess I've never had
I
a fish
know.
sandwich at McDonald's, so like it's not that weird.
Oh, you
but-
should. They're delicious and horrible for you.
No,
they are really
interesting.
good.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I might go
so
to
good.
McDonald's on my way home.
Oh,
Yeah. Now I want a hamburger really bad.
I'm really hungry.
want lots of alcohol and donkey meat and long pig and now McDonald's.
Long pig.
So like Calculon becomes so obsessed with Coilette, he proposes. I forget who says this. Is it Fry? Or is it Fry responding? It's like it's sort of a 2-person pyramid scheme. He goes, "That's marriage, all right." Like, yeah, they basically nailed that. That was a good one, because it is. I've done it twice, and both times it's boy, the economics of it all
What
plays
does
out
that
in
mean?
interesting ways. I mean, look, she was going to leave me over pants, so that's what this foundation is built on. If anything, it's kind of an inverted pyramid. So it's, what? I mentioned I'm on cold medicine, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry. Would any of you use Zoidberg as a wedding planner? I would.
Oh my God, the cake line.
Yeah.
That's my Zoidberg moment. Yes,
Order the
yeah, I
cake,
would.
Damn it.
I feel like he'd give you that edge. Like it would be something that would get written up in the Times and become like, it would be in like the year-end circular of like, this was the wedding to end all weddings. Probably because it was super disgusting, but still, like it would just be like Fry watching the surgery. She's just like, I can't watch because it's awful, but I have to because I'm so curious.
Did you write down the actual quote from the cake thing? I want to hear it again.
Oh,
Yes,
shit.
I have it right here.
Do you? Can you read
Where he
it?
says, "I saw frilly cake in here. You'll remember all your life. I know I will. Late at night, it haunts me with its frosted beauty. Order the cake, damn it!"
That was another thing I needed to ask. Because there's the line with like, "Come on, you never went on a date with a guy because you were hungry. I thought I might like him better on a full stomach." Is that a real thing?
That is totally a real thing.
I've never done it, but it is real.
Yeah, I've been broke as shit.
Well, right, but so was there? Is that just being coy about it, or was there like, yeah, maybe my blood sugar's a little low and he's sort of annoying, but maybe when everything gets evened out.
I mean, okay, I will say I've never gone out with somebody that I thought was like annoying, right? But
Right.
like if you don't know someone that well and they're literally just present like it's an actual like I'm just asking this person out,
Yeah.
right? Then yeah, timing it so that you hit them up as they're going to need dinner or, do you want to go out to lunch after this thing we just went to? Then totally works.
See, I haven't been on a date in ever.
Well, and also the point is that when you go out to eat, then there's a possibility of alcohol and, you relax and you hang out.
You can play it by ear and
Right.
figure it out from there. Maybe wind up on a yacht somewhere.
I will say that none of those people actually worked out. Like, so there's that. I don't think I've ever actually worked out with anybody who asked me on an actual date, like a weird little we don't know each other date. It's always those never work out.
Yeah.
Because that's not how relationships work.
You got to have a meet cute, and sometimes those just end horribly, right?
I feel like one of the most poisonous ideas in American society and all society in general is this idea that you can somehow date until you meet somebody. Like that action of dating has anything to do with you actually meeting somebody. Because everybody that I've ever gone out with for a long time, it just happened. Like you meet someone and that just naturally happens, right?
Yeah.
And anytime you have any kind of stress or weirdness about it, then it's a lost cause. Just let it go. Like, it's never going to happen. Maybe for like 6 months of your life, you'll be entertained. But like, that's why like dating is a different exercise. So you don't date to find love, I guess, is how I'm justifying saying that I went on dates because I was hungry sometimes. To bring it back around.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Because I'm like I said, I'm so far removed from the whole thing in general, and even then, it's a whole long thing.
It's terrifying and awful, like everyone tells you. But I will say this: one thing that's happened as I've gotten older. I just was saying this to my friend today because Cleveland Tinder is tripping me out super hard. Because I was super excited because Wilmington, North Carolina Tinder is shit, right? And I was like, yay, to be in another city and just like do this weird mental exercise. Every guy over like 50 who hits on me always hits on me the same way when he finds out I'm a writer, by telling me he wrote a book that he thinks I should help him co-author or co-write. And it happened again today. I was talking to this guy and he was like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm a writer. And he was like, I have this really interesting idea for a book that's a Da Vinci Code, like historical drama that you're super liberal, so you'll be into. And I was like, I don't even know what that means.
Fuck.
But I'm obviously not going to talk to you again. And there's a lawyer in Wilmington who tried to ask me out by reading me the first 5 pages of his detective noir novel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, this shit happens over and over again.
Wait. So, how did he read it to you? Like, he called you and then, like...
This was a story I told it at Keep Talking, actually, last week. So it's fresh in my head.
All right.
But, like, what happened is I was filming a commercial for him.
Yeah.
And in the course of the shoot... we had to talk to each other for like 10 minutes to get stock footage. So we were just talking about whatever we want, but we had to talk face to face. And in the course of that, he found out I was a writer. And when we were done filming, he was like, oh, hey, I have my novel right here in my desk. Let's go out. Let's step outside the office. And the producer's like, well, we have to finish this. And he's like, no, it'll just take a minute.
Oh,
and we step outside the office and he reads me the pages. And then he gives me his card and is like, so, you want to get together and talk about it? Or like... read the rest of the manuscript and give me notes, and it's like, are you hitting on me or are you trying to get a ghostwriter for free? Because I'm never really sure what's going on.
I think the kids would say that's tacky AF.
Yeah.
That's like,
the adults would say that too.
I have a guitar here. Let me play you these songs that I've written.
That is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is.
Oh my God. I can't. I mean, really, I don't see that as being any different than dick pics. It's like, this is so obviously something that is just revolting in its own nature. Like, how can you not know that it's just bad?
But see, I'm more of a sucker for it because unlike dick pics, there's always that hope that maybe they'll read you something genius and you'll be like, you're still an asshole, but you're a really good writer.
But
and so maybe I want to talk to you,
Has that ever happened?
No, never.
I mean,
literally never.
You're basically playing like the shitty author lottery at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it's you're not even giving any money into the school districts.
I don't know how we got on this from the hungry part, but Michelle and Tommy look like they want to move on.
I'm just thinking about what that detective noir story would have
Who do you think did it?
I didn't get that far. Pretty much it was like a bunch of pages describing the woman coming into the office, right? Because she was, not beautiful, but beautiful, right? Like,
it's like a Maggie Gyllenhaal type.
Yeah, just from certain angles you could see. Yeah.
Well, okay. So
where are we even?
You've always said you'd rather
control.
burn down a convent than give up show business. I've always said many things. Like, it really just it ratchets up into high gear here, like with the wedding and everything. Like, we will have donkeys, all you can eat. See, I never even
All
put
you can
that.
eat ass. I just love it so much. It's so clever.
Then there was one of the professors, like, hard sexist lines of, you've waited too long to change back, you dingbat. Have you ever had to call anybody a dingbat for real?
I'm sure I have at some point.
I mean, like...
Or like maybe describe someone as a dingbat, probably.
I feel like it's that's an epithet that really had its heyday in the 70s, and it's lost favor, but it's a good one. Like...
What does it mean exactly? Where does it come from?
Well... I think it just means like a ditzy broad, basically. So, like, I think it was an Archie Bunker line referring to Edith.
Oh. Okay.
Or Mel on Alice may have leveled it at Vera, where it was just like a crazy, excitable, lady who just can't control herself. She's just she's all flustered and everything.
It's interesting because you know what, you're right, but I never thought of it as a pure like a woman line. Like I never thought of it as having an assigned.
I see that, and that's the thing. Like I would never think to call. It's like oh God, we just keep going. It's like asshole. Like you don't normally apply that to women. I think like I'm loosening up on it these days. But
I'm a big fan of asshole for women because I personally really think there should be more asshole women.
Yeah, well, sure. But I mean, that's I traditionally thought of as like a gendered masculine thing. So I think dingbat is kind of the same way. But it's sort of a soft one. It's just like, oh God, you dingbat. You know, like I've used it to refer to people that, you know, just where it fits. Like when you say it, like it works. Like it means what it means. Of course it does. That's fuck.
Words do mean what they mean.
I know.
It's 2018. Are we sure about that?
Yeah.
Are we positive?
We're gonna go Pomo as fuck on this right now. We're just gonna break it all into its component parts. I'm sorry. I'm not happy with this cold medicine at all. It's not amplifying my best characteristics like it normally does. It's just making me like woozy. So I guess this is like Bender's grift for the wedding to break up with Calculon and still avoid actually like revealing that he is in fact Bender.
Yeah.
That's all pretty ingenious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the fact that they're making it like this big dramatic show where Calculon apparently doesn't understand the veil between drama and real life.
No, it's the best thing ever.
It does end strong for all the weakness of the episode.
Leela just sees through him immediately and is like, no, this is what we do. Yeah, I love it. All right, I know I've talked a lot on this episode and I apologize.
That's why you're
for that,
here.
but I'm going to do it one more time because this is what this ending made me think of. All right, so Wilmington, North Carolina used to have the largest film studio on the East Coast, and they call it Wilmywood. And it was like the largest like water stage, and a bunch of shit's been filmed there since the 80s. And then we lost our tax incentives 2 years ago.
Oh.
And all that shit moved to Atlanta because it was this whole thing. The governor, the bathroom bill governor, right? He was with the Chick-fil-A lobby, and Chick-fil-A invested heavily in this new Atlanta studio. And so they wanted to drive everyone away from North Carolina to Atlanta. So now everything's in Atlanta, which is why everything from Netflix is filmed in Atlanta. But the point is there's a lot of actors and there's a lot of actresses and there's a lot of film people. And I have this theory about Wilmington because everyone living there, granted, we also smoke a lot of weed and drink a lot too, right? So this contributes to it. But you live there long enough and you start to feel like everything is in on an episodic arc. Like, if things seem really crisis-driven, you just have to wait it out because something weird and lucky will happen. And the first time it happened, I was like, whoa, I need to check myself as weird. But then for 5 years, seriously, every time I had a problem with an apartment or a boy or a job, anything, at the very last moment, this crazy, amazing solution would present itself, or this crazy, amazing person would just show up. Like, they just added a new character to the season. And I thought that maybe I was just going crazy. And then I found out that everyone else who lives there feels the same way. And there's this phenomenon called no, it's not disassociation, but it's like that, where you think that you start to lose sense of reality because you feel like everything is a scripted narrative.
Yeah.
And so this ending was so perfect. I thought of it so hard. I was like, this is the perfect encapsulation of Wilmington, and probably every film-driven town.
What was Fry's alias?
Congo Jack.
Congo Jack.
And I like his line the best when he rides up what was like a motorcycle or something, and he's like, they go, Congo Jack, and he goes, yeah, and I've got a message from Colonel Matumbe. This one's from Congo Jack. Just throws the spear. Like the message,
That was the best
God,
line
the
in the
best
whole
line in the show.
It was really good, and like just all of that stuff with I'm a doctor. She's dead.
No, but they also made her die from that specific disease that Calculon had died from.
The African hydraulic fever.
Which I just thought was a really, like, is that... So I know we've seen Calculon before, but I can't think of the episodes that we've seen him on. But
he's been in a bunch.
Is it a callback? Does he have a movie episode where he dies from that, or are they just random?
No, it's just like a soap opera.
Yeah.
He just does
thing,
the soap
he's
opera,
a soap
right?
opera actor, and so.
But he's been in 3 or 4 episodes
Yeah.
before. Like he's a frequently recurring character. So it's just like I mean, even the thing in the beginning when he's like, this scene needs no introduction. It's like, of course, because there's a pirate.
I just wanted the African thing to have like I wanted it to be a thing, whereas like a reference.
I mean, maybe it will be later.
There is another reference where they say something about where is it? Bender says stick a potato in his tailpipe, which is when Calculon was a werecar. They put a silver potato in his exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
Also an oddly sexual thing to say.
Yeah.
Also, so I forget what I read this on, but somebody pointed out that the preacher who does the wedding says that thing about the casting agents being in the audience.
Yeah.
And then later when Calculon makes the movie, he's in the movie as the preacher.
Yeah.
He's like waving at the camera
realize
and
that.
he's like,
Yeah.
hi, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, Preacher Bot's pretty brazen about that stuff. But like, so would you run into that kind of behavior too? I never put that together. And actually, I have friends that used to live in Wilmington and do like PA work years and years ago. Like they all like crewed on Dawson's Creek and shit back in the day.
They probably don't still live in Wilmington, I imagine.
No, they
moved.
split.
Yeah.
Well, the most of them moved back here, and then some of them moved out west. But like, what happens to those people? Like they're just there now.
It's real weird. So I moved there right at the height of it, right?
Yeah.
When it was like we had a bunch of movies, we had a bunch of shows, there was a bunch of money, and then it was like 2 years ago that we lost the film incentives, and so I watched the whole crash. So it's interesting to move to a town that you don't know at all and watch something really drastic like that happen.
Oh yeah.
Apparently the film incentives are coming back next year, but I don't know if it's going to make a difference at this point because everyone's moved. But I watched everyone leave town, and the people who were left were the people who were really so addicted. I could never, well, no, none of my Wilmington friends that matter will hear this. None of the actors will hear it. They're so addicted to validation from their local circles that they can't leave. But this is where my friends are, and we're all geniuses, and we're going to love each other's work and all say wonderful, amazing things about it, even though we should have more taste and we should know better about it. But we can't leave and move because what will I do without my constant
it's almost
IV
like
of...
that might happen around here and every other
It happens
city
in
and
every
stuff.
art scene,
it's
right?
just-
Like,
you get your womb, and
That's
it's
why I
sick.
haven't left, because I need Pete to tell me that I'm good.
What do you...
and I never do.
Aw,
Just waiting for it.
you got to release him.
I can't remember that your dad didn't have a boat.
But yeah, no, people are totally opportunistic like that. I mean, so I had a weird gig because I was the theater reviewer for the local paper, so I had to watch all the community theater people too, which is like a different circles than the film people, but they overlap in weird little pathetic places.
That could get real strange.
It was real weird.
Did you lord that power over them at all?
No, I tried really hard not to talk to any of them. But then they, you can't. Making it sound worse than it is. Obviously, some of these people are my friends, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
overall, there's that feeling of like, gotta get in front of the camera, gotta get your next break, doesn't matter. And it's weird because it's a small town, so you look at them and you're like, what's wrong with you? Nobody you're talking to matters.
Yeah.
But in fact, it's full of such rich people and such connections, and it is a beach town, that you actually do meet really important people in the film industry there randomly at bars. So it's not totally unwarranted as an attitude. I just think it's outdated because the studio's moved on.
Yeah.
They're like functioning from 5 years ago still.
Oh, I don't think I can handle that. It would just be too.
It was real weird.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, I don't know. I can talk to fake people very easily.
You got a pretty outgoing personality.
Yeah, well, but also I'm very I get a lot of social anxiety, and people it's good to be socially anxious around people who are theater people or film people because they won't stop talking about themselves. And so you don't have to do anything. You just have to ask them questions about themselves and they'll just keep going. Yeah. So it's easy.
Perfect. So I did we get through everything? I guess my buddy is home and his respect for women is back to normal, which is to say not at all. Not my favorite episode.
I mean, now that we've talked about all the just the deeper meanings of a lot of things that you've brought
I'm
up,
so sorry.
and no, it's great.
No, that's good.
It makes me think of this. episode in a different way a little bit. But all in all, no, I don't. I don't think that. I don't really like this episode.
No, I think I'm even like I feel like when they got into gender issues in general, and this is with the lens of 20 years in the future now looking back, it was all pretty clumsy. Maybe
they have
coming
women in their writers' room?
Probably not. I mean, maybe, but I think it was just basically like a Simpsons boys club except from MIT nerds instead of Harvard. There may have been a couple tokens. And I mean, and to be fair, a lot of strong female characters on the show and things too, but it's and more often than not, like Leela is the most competent person in the crew, despite her own personal shortcomings or whatever. But just there was the one there have been a couple about robosexuality, that sort of stuff. It's just and then this is like a sort of a part 2 of Bender doing the gender bender character with the wrestling stuff. Right. It's just like, like I get it, and you can only get so meta about it. We're just like, I don't know. But I think he brought a lot of good insight to it that I didn't catch. Just even the emotionality of it, that didn't register with me at all.
Someday I'll write a whole book about Bender's emotionality.
then you can try and pick up guys on Tinder with it.
That will probably be me in the 50s. When I'm 50, it'll be me hitting on 25-year-olds being like, let me tell you about this book I wrote about this cartoon.
What's a cartoon? Is it like a video game? Here's a picture of my dick.
He'll just be tapping the glass like, why can't I interact with this? Why can't I?
Is this made out of wood?
I think about what kind of dirty 50-year-old woman I'm going to be all the time. No, because I'm 38 now, and the last 3 guys that I was fucking around with were all under 23.
Oh, that had to have been exhausting.
No, it was great.
Emotionally.
It's fucking great. No, it's awesome. Any 23-year-olds that like me on this podcast, so want to hit me up. I am real bored in Cleveland right now. Yeah.
Well, we have a worldwide audience. So, I mean, wherever you end up
willing
landing.
To move to other countries, especially before 2020, if we can swing that.
before the wall gets built,
yeah,
we can still get out and it doesn't turn into Gilead. Oh, God. Any final thoughts on anything?
No.
Oh, this is a question that one of our listeners posed at us a couple weeks ago. We asked it last week, and you might be a good person to ask this to. Is there a character on the show, Futurama, just to limit it to that?
Yeah, okay, good. I wasn't sure what show you were talking about.
That you would find as a romantic ideal, that you'd like to date in real life and have,
Jesus, what a question.
Right?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, it came up because I mentioned that Leela was basically like a dream girl.
I was going to say this earlier with the writers' room thing. That's how you can tell that there's no women in the writers' room, because the women characters are sort of straight characters. Like they're like the competent good girls. Mm-hmm. And if women were writing them, they would not be. They would be funnier and weirder and have more. But instead they are the foils. They take care of everyone in the end. The answer
they're all like moms.
Yeah. That's very...
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and that's why, the Tina Fey and Amy Poehler run shows are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the women are written like women.
Yeah. Because women are people who are funny and weird and assholes, right?
Yeah.
And you don't see that when guys aren't... I mean, and that's not true. Some guys have written women who are like that, right? But in general... that's where it really falls flat. And you can always tell when you're talking about writers' rooms for comedies. You can always see that, which is why, as much as there's criticism about Broad City for insensitivity to other things, I was so excited when that show came out because I watched it with my friend Faith, and I was like, oh my God, it's a show about us, female potheads, right? Like actual female potheads, right? But to answer your question, no, because I like myself. But I will say that many of my boyfriends have been like the professor.
Really?
Yeah.
So, just violently hateful of everyone?
Yeah, just
Dangerously smart.
Because I like people without filters, right? And I do like assholes because I'm an asshole. And so what that translates to, unfortunately, is guys who like to go to parties and say shit to rile shit up. And I get drunk and I find that funny, so it's not a good combination. I really like that sometimes.
Egging
My friends
each other
don't. Yeah. Or Fry, I suppose, more have been like Fry recently because of the age difference.
Oh dear.
What were all of your answers? What was your answer, Michelle?
Mine changes a lot. I mean, I think I'm kind of I'm a Fry kind of gal, but I could also see, Leela being a good, strong, romantic partner. I mean, she's opinionated and smart and capable in many, many ways, which is a good traits to have. Spaceship. Yeah, good traits to have in a partner.
I said there's an episode where Fry meets a girl from the 21st century at a bar, and I said that girl, the 21st century girl.
Yeah.
Because we'd have a lot of in common.
more so than
nobody's going to pick
almost
Bonitis
a cop
guy.
out, but it's not because you know enough. You've got the trivia mastery that you get away from the cop out answer. Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. See, it's good. We rambled just the right amount of time.
Yeah.
It's a good episode length. There's not a whole lot to cut out. Just those anti-Semitic and racist remarks. There weren't really any. There's nothing being cut out of this. Tom doesn't even edit it at all anymore.
I don't really edit it anymore.
Never takes anything out.
He just slaps the bumpers on the top.
I was going to say,
I think
the
a
last
couple weeks ago,
I feel like
a couple weeks ago, a train went by.
Oh, yeah.
And you forgot to cut out the part where we were like clapping in.
I got lazy.
I mean, it would have taken like 4 minutes. You don't have that kind of time.
No, because they come out at like midnight on Wednesday, and I'm uploading them at 11:58.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. How long are you planning on being in town for?
Until somebody gives me a job in another city.
Okay.
So I moved back because I'm applying for jobs in Chicago and Pittsburgh. And because my parents are elderly and I kind of want to be a little closer, right?
Sure.
But I don't want to be this closer. And I just couldn't go on interviews from North Carolina. I ain't got plane fare money like that. So just applying for every job in the world. What sucks is that a bunch of people, so I do content, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of Chicago companies just laid off a bunch of like content strategists and copywriters. So now they're all scrambling for jobs. So now I've started applying for weed marketing agencies in Colorado.
Nice.
Good plan.
Yeah, I actually think that's solid. Pitched a story about the new grow center in Parma that will be coming out in a publication probably in like 2 months.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to go straight into weed journalism.
Until Jeff Sessions shuts it
journalism.
all down. Because
fuck
it's
the Keebler elf. He's not going to do shit. Republicans don't let go of tax money.
Have you seen Kate McKinnon's impression on SNL? It's
so
good.
perfect. She's so good. I love
She's
her.
perfect. Yeah. Let's leave the episode on that. Kate McKinnon is perfect.
There we go.
In every way.
Bad. Oh, is there anywhere people could find you on the internet? Do you want people to find you on the internet?
Find me on the internet. My Twitter is Bridget Callahan.
Okay.
My Facebook is Bridget Callahan. And I publish a lot of comedy stuff at the Tusk literary blog. It's if you just Google the Tusk and Bridget Callahan, I'll come up. But a lot of my comedy stuff, like comedy essays, my obituary for Roger Ailes that's one of my favorite pieces that I wrote last year. So yeah, that's the place to look.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on. We'll hopefully be able to have you again before you leave town, or when you come back as a famous weed journalist from Colorado,
right, exactly.
Maybe with samples. We can be found at slurmcast.com, where all of our episodes and links to our TeePublic shop to buy wonderful T-shirts that we get a tiny fractional penny percentage of if you buy them. That's all there.
We get a decent amount.
Also, the love lasts forever.
Yeah, I mean they're really nice shirts.
The shirts don't.
I mean,
You
way
get-
to
you
sell
get-
it.
You get 2 washes out of the shirt. Choose wisely.
No, just buy multiples. They're so cheap you can afford it.
Exactly. With fast fashion, it's killing everybody, but it helps us keep the
Honestly,
lights on.
I think the T-shirts are good quality. I don't know. I haven't bought one,
Yeah,
but I'm sure
You
they
haven't
are.
bought your own t-shirt?
No, it's not. It's we have our name
We
on
curate.
a store, and other people make T-shirt or like designs,
But
and
you
then
don't
it's
own one yourself.
no. I have not bought one.
It's the gig economy, right? Is that part of that?
The precariat.
Yes. That's a good word. Did you coin that?
No, I did not, but we should talk about it after the episode's over.
Where else are we?
Call us.
Oh, 216-438-1077. You can email us at slurmcastpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram at slurmcastpod. We're on Facebook. You can rate and review us on iTunes. We were asking people for something before, and we forgot.
I don't remember.
Presents?
Send us a hamburger from Michelle from McDonald's.
Oh my God! Everybody send Michelle McDonald's hamburgers because they won't go bad in the mail. We know that.
Yeah, they'll last forever. Or just gift certificates.
Hey.
Yeah.
Send me those Ronald Bucks, whatever they call them. Did you ever have those? When I was a kid, my grandparents used to give me they were McDonald's rip-off dollars.
Yeah.
Because you bought them when you were contributing to the Ronald McDonald House charity thing.
Yeah.
I used to get them when I'd go trick-or-treating sometimes. They would throw in a couple of those.
It was like a checkbook, but they looked like dollar bills with Ronald's face in the middle, and they were McDonald's cash.
We should make Slurmcast bucks that people can use to download our show for free. Anyway,
you have to type in a 27-digit alphanumeric code.
It's more secure that way,
and it shows up as dots after you type the letter, so you don't remember if you typed it in right.
That's what I do all day long. Oh God, kill me. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.